We're going to be going live today. We're live. Hello, welcome to another episode of Martial Arts Movie Mondays. We're getting in just under the wire. Normally I do this show during the day, but life happened. Didn't get to do it during the daytime today, but we're here now. That's all that matters. And we're under the wire, so I got an hour, technically my time, or a little bit less than an hour before it's moving. Anyway, if you've never been seen this show before, I take a deep dive into one of my couple of movies here in my martial arts collection, and we talk about it and try to show the connection between my own martial arts journey and the movie, but the movie itself and all kinds of things about it. So let's dive in, do a shorter show since it's a little bit late, and I got an art deadline and some work to do. And people are doing things, getting ready for the holidays, it's probably sleeping or traveling or whatever. So who's really probably watching it, right? So this week, we're going to take a dive into probably one of the most iconic martial artists outside of people like Bruce Lee. There's memes about him. There's books about him. He's done TV. He's done movie. They've got all these like kind of running joke things about, his awesomeness. And of course, we're talking about the man with the mustache, Chuck Norris. You know, there's a whole ton of films that he's done. We've talked about, I believe, one or two of them already here on here. But today we're going to talk about a little bit different one. This was not the normal, straight up Chuck Norris martial arts extravaganza. He took a little bit of different pace to this one, but it was one that I still like today because it was one of his, probably the only time he took on this kind of genre. But I'm talking about his film, his 1982 film, Silent Rage. Silent Rage. This was Chuck Norris's first, probably his only. I know he did like Hellbound, which I guess could be classified as horror, but it wasn't really. This was his first foray into mixing not only the martial arts aspect, but with horror. All the movies he made prior to this were straight up martial arts action flicks. And this time it took him into a little bit different direction with some horror elements, but he also kind of ditched the straight up martial arts styles and was more of a street fighter in this movie. He still has some kicking and things like this, but it wasn't the same. Everything about this movie was a little bit different. This particular edition that I'm here, it looks like you should look. I've shown these kind of copies before. I think on I think I did Double Impact. I think it was, but it looks like it's a VHS tape. This is the Mill Creek release. It's the Rewind collection. Excuse me. It's supposed to look like the video box from the video store with the VHS sticking out over here. It's even got the little tag they would stick on it to tell you what kind of film. So this was marked as action thriller. It's got the Please Be Kind Rewind stickers on it. This is a really cool little collection. They put out a lot of different old school movies like this, that action, horror, comedies, a lot of them. So this is a neat way to pick up some of the older films. Silent Rage being one of them that I was super excited to get because that's one of the few that I didn't own. So anyway, if you don't know about the movie, essentially Chuck Norris is playing a sheriff or a small town sheriff of sorts, or officer, whatever you want to call him. I know it's a shock. He's playing a police officer. Note, this was the first time that he played a Texas lawman prior to Walker, Texas Ranger, and Lone Wolf McQuade. Lone Wolf McQuade, if you've ever seen any of our shows, you found out by now that Lone Wolf McQuade is one of my favorite Chuck Norris movies of all time. And I believe I did a show on it as well. But this was the first time he played a Texas lawman that now he's actually synonymous for because of Walker, Texas Ranger and whatnot. But anyway, he plays the thing. I'll just read you the synopsis. How about that? It'd be easier to go on. It says, Chuck Norris, he's a tough street fighting sheriff. They even try to say it on the thing so you understand that he's not a karate guy. Of a small Texas town terrorized by a psychotic killer. He stops the guy, but what happens is it's kind of one of those where it starts in the middle, but then they do some kind of experimenting on him, and they make him basically this, through science and genetic engineering, they make him this unstoppable killing machine. Of where like he can't be shooting wherever he can't be killed. And I remember when this movie came out, this movie freaked me out, man. Because I remember watching Chuck Norris movies as a kid, and in 1982, I was still pretty small. And I remember watching this and not supposed to see this movie, but I don't know if my parents or somebody else was watching it. It's probably my dad. My dad loved Chuck Norris back in the day. And I remember seeing it and just being freaked out, man. And I mean, I was already probably in martial arts already, but it's got a horror element to it. It's not scary, but like you watch it now, it's kind of cheese, but you could tell it had a very like Michael Myers esque tone to the way the killer would show up. He'd be standing in the background. He's even wearing like a jumpsuit. He'd show up, then he'd just jump out and like start choking people, and Chuck Norris would fight him but couldn't stop him. And it's really great. But what I always thought was great about this was this movie. It has a lot of great action and suspense and thriller, so it was a different standout Chuck Norris movie. Never really had any kind of a martial arts impact on me as far as my training, but it helped me as a movie fan be able to see how you can blending genres and how it can work. As cheesy as kind of the movie is on some level, it gives me a little bit of the elements. This is probably one of the things that, as a young person, started shifting me toward the love of horror, because I don't remember seeing a lot of horror films prior to that, or if I did, I'd freak out, run away, cover my eyes, normal kid stuff. But seeing, okay, Chuck Norris can stop him, Karate Guy can do it. Then getting to see, Halloween or whatever, which I'm sure I saw after I saw this. The connections made it kind of feel familiar and kind of find the passion and love for it. And, now I love horror films as well as martial arts sticks. But anyway, so this is one of those fun movies. It's also got one of the ending is one of the best thing I loved about this film, is because they've created a character that can't be killed, can't be stopped. Hence, you can't suddenly say, oh, here's how they're going to stop him, because Chuck Norris is here, let's kill him. Chuck Norris is the only person that can kill him. Well, they can't kill him. So in the movie, he has the kicking. He does I believe it's a jumping side kick, if I remember correctly, or a spin kick or whatever it is. But he kicks him down a well. And then in the end of the movie, he comes up out of the well. And you now know that this guy's still alive, but he's now stuck down in this well forever. I don't know if they were vying for a sequel, which would have been so great to see Chuck Norris take on this guy again. But sadly, it never happened. What's great about this movie is the taglines. Now, this little collection, you have two one on the front, one in the back. The front says, "Science created him. Now Chuck Norris must destroy him." The back says, "Martial arts master versus superhuman killing machine," which those are fun enough. And I find it funny when they actually use Chuck Norris's name to say Chuck Norris is going to beat him. That's not the character's name or whatever it is. But I pulled up, I knew there was another one, and I pulled it up. It was this on some of the posters, it was this long drug out thing that says, I'm going to read it to you. "Science created him. Now Chuck Norris must destroy him. He's an indestructible man fused with powers beyond comprehension, an unstoppable terror, who in one final showdown will push Chuck Norris to his limits and beyond." That was apparently on a poster somewhere. I got to find that poster and get me a copy of it. But it just shows that they were determined to use the Chuck Norris brand to sell it, because they knew this was something different. In the martial arts world, kind of a big deal that happened during production of the film, because this film was shot in Dallas, which is in the area that I'm at, which is another reason I always thought it was cool. But the kickboxer Demetrius Havanas had passed away in an airplane accident. He's a famous kickboxer from back in the day. And during the filming of this, Chuck Norris was one of the pallbearers for Demetrius Havanas' funeral, which is just kind of a side martial arts note. Nothing to do with the movie itself. It just happened to happen around that. So a martial arts kickboxing legend, which my connection with him is really more my instructor, who fought him way before I ever met or started. He fought Demetrius Havanas. My instructor lost, like most people did. But from my understanding, through an article in Black Belt magazine, he only lost by a couple of points. So Mr. Luna was known as the Mexican Fireball, and apparently held his own, according to a Black Belt magazine article. But Demetrius Havanas died in an airplane and accident. And during making this movie, Chuck Norris was one of his pallbearers. So make a big circle, It comes back to my universe. That had nothing. I didn't know about that until years later. But that's what we're talking about today. Silent Rage. This is actually a new release. So if you've never checked this movie out, this is a good time to grab a copy of Silent Rage on Blu-ray from Mill Creek. I don't think there's any. Yeah, in the inside, it has the original artwork, which was just Chuck Norris with the same Science Created Him standard Blu-ray look. You've got some Chuck Norris jumping and kicking and whatnot. The inside's pretty plain. It's just kind of a standoff between the two. So yeah, the inside is just the normal generic Blu-ray. This is one of the original poster vibes. I remember seeing on the VHS because I did have the VHS, but then you put it in the slipcase and it comes this cool rewind edition. You can go to our website, HollywoodMatrimony.com, head over to the review archive of Blu-rays. My review for this little set's in there. It doesn't have any really bonus features, but it is worth it alone just to grab to get the movie. So that's it for today. I know it's a little short show, but we're talking about an older movie. It's a great movie if you've never heard of it. Silent Rage, 1982, Chuck Norris. Stephen Furst is also in it. You may know from, holy crap, I just went blank. Let me look him up because he deserves some props. Stephen Furst was in a ton of stuff back in the day. Where's he at? There he is. I don't know why I just went blank on Stephen Furst. He's very popular. He passed away in 2017. No, he's in Animal House. Yeah, he was Animal House. He was on Babylon 5. He did a lot of stuff. You'd know him if you saw him. But grab your copy of Silent Rage, available now on Blu-ray. That's going to be it for today. Be sure to check us out tomorrow for another episode of TV Tuesdays. It'll probably be later in the evening because I have a screening in the morning. We got an animal visit thing we have to do for the vet. We got our Taekwondo Thanksgiving dinner tomorrow night, and then we'll probably do the show after that. And then come back for Sunday for Hollywood Matrimony Live right here on our YouTube page, as well as over on our Facebook page. We'll talk about this week's shenanigans, movies, Thanksgiving shenanigans, and everything else in between. Thank you again. Hit the subscribe button below on this page. Hit the orb up here if it shows up. I'll try to find the trailer, throw it over here so you can check it out. And again, as always, keep your hands up, and please, please, please be nice to each other, and I will see you next time.